Now, I think these are the three best in the Carolina Herrera Bad Boy line. If you don't agree, please leave me a comment and let me know which ones you think are the best. So firstly, we're going to start off with the original Bad Boy. Now, I have had a affinity with this fragrance for a while. I mean, ever since it came out, really, I have really enjoyed this fragrance and what it does and how it compares to other fragrances on the market that do a similar thing. I think it's just such a fun, easygoing, playful fragrance. I really love how in the original Bad Boy, it's a kind of spicy chocolate note, but you do get some fresh notes as well. So you get this kind of fresh, spicy, almost peppery feel, but it has enough freshness in there to warrant that you could wear it to any situation. You could wear it to work, you could wear it in the warm weather even if you wanted to. It has that really good mix of sweet chocolate, spiciness and freshness, which I've always really loved in this fragrance. Now, the fresh spicy vibe that I spoke about, so it's an aromatic note from sage, also it's a fresh spicy peppery note. That to me really reminds me of the same fresh spiciness that is in the original Spice Bomb EDT. If you've smelt that fragrance or you own it and you know how it smells, you understand that Spice Bomb EDT is a spicy fragrance that has a few heavier notes like tobacco, but also has this really fresh, spicy feel to it, which makes it really versatile. And Bad Boy, the original, has the same scent profile to me. Now, I think this is versatile. I think it's quite youthful feeling because it is quite sweet. And to me, it's a really good going out fragrance, going out with your friends, doing anything casual when you want something fun, playful, sweet, loud projection. This is really good. Now, about the projection and the longevity, excellent for an eau de toilette. I get really decent performance, and my friend used to wear this as his signature fragrance. Every time I'd see him, I would smell it, sometimes before I would even see him. It's a really good projector, and that's why it's an excellent going out fragrance. This is Bad Boy, the original EDT. I think it's great. Now we're going to move on to a very interesting fragrance now, and this one is not versatile. This one is daring and it's different, and it's, especially for a designer fragrance, I think it's wonderful what they've done to make something so daring and interesting. It is Bad Boy Le Parfum, and it comes in this really beautiful matte black bottle. I don't really care about packaging usually, and actually, to be honest with you, these bottles annoy me because they're so big, heavy, they're cumbersome, but I love the matte black finish with Bad Boy Le Parfum. Now, when you have a flanker to an original fragrance, you might agree with me that what happens a lot of the time is they make a very similar fragrance to the original, but they maybe add some sweetness. They maybe just darken up the fragrance or make it more smoother and a bit more kind of wintry or nighttime feel to it. But this one, the Le Parfum of Bad Boy, is just completely different, and it's just so interesting and daring. This does have a cannabis note, and it smells realistic. It's really green, it's aromatic, it's quite sharp, and you really just pick it out straight away. It has that cannabis green sharp tinge to it and doesn't have as much sweetness. You haven't got the chocolate, you haven't got the spicy chocolate note that's in the original, and it hasn't got the same youthful and playful feel. This smells a lot more almost like niche fragrance. Now, there are two fragrances that this reminds me of, not as exact comparisons, but fragrances that notes in here remind me of other fragrances, and they are Elysium Eau Intense, even though that fragrance does not smell like Bad Boy exactly, but it has that same green note, and it also has a grapefruit opening like you get in here. So if you smell Elysium Eau Intense, search for this fragrance in there and I'm sure you'll find it. And also Black Afghano, but maybe to a slightly lesser extent because of the green notes, but Black Afghano I think is a bit more heavier, ambery, and a bit more serious. Now, Bad Boy Le Parfum is not versatile like the original Bad Boy that we looked at. I think this is much more of a older person's going out fragrance. I don't mean like, 50, 60. I mean like if you're like, 25, 30, that kind of age group going out with your friends, this works really well. And if you want something kind of daring, challenging, and long-lasting, this is a really awesome smelling fragrance because it smells so different and it almost has a mysterious feel to it, but I wouldn't wear it to the office. It's not that type of fragrance, at least to me. Now, moving on to the last one, and arguably the best fragrance in the Bad Boy line. This one maybe doesn't get as much attention as it deserves, but I think it's a really wonderful addition to the Bad Boy lineup, and I think it is probably the best one, and that is Bad Boy Extreme. This one is more similar to what a flanker would smell like in a fragrance, not so much like the Le Parfum. This one smells more like a grown-up version of the original Bad Boy that we looked at. So for me, I'm 31 now, and I think this is more in my kind of age category, if that makes sense. I think this is a more suitable fragrance to me, and I think if I had to choose between all of these fragrances and choose just one, I would keep this one, Bad Boy Extreme, because it has the same playfulness, the same sort of chocolate, spicy, almost gourmand feel than the original EDT that we looked at. But this one is a bit heavier, has an ambery note, it's a bit sweeter, and I think it's a bit more gourmand as well. So it comes across as more of a sweeter and more chocolatey fragrance. It also has an interesting fruity note, I think, from plum. And to me, this really reminds me and smells like a really perfect date night scent, but doesn't have as much freshness as is in this EDT. So if you want something really fresh, spicy, I think this EDT is still the best one to go for. But if you want the slightly more upgraded version, stronger performance, darker, sweeter, then this Extreme flanker is really wonderful. Out of the three fragrances, this one, Extreme, has better performance, right? Followed by Le Parfum. This starts off really strong. Really, you think it's going to be an absolute beast, but does fade off a bit quicker, so it's not quite as good as the Extreme. And this original one has slightly weaker performance than the other two, but this one is an eau de toilette. It's less concentration, but this one, I think, is more versatile, and arguably it could be the better pick. But me, personally, I would go with Extreme as the best one in the line. We looked at in my last video, if you want to go and watch that, we compared just the Bad Boy Cobalt, the original versus the Elixir. I don't enjoy them as much as these three, although the Cobalt, the original, I do still really like. But out of the whole Bad Boy fragrance line, these three are my favourite, and my number one pick is Bad Boy Extreme. Let me know, what is your favourite Bad Boy fragrance, and I'll see you soon.